Welcome to Forum 360. I'm Ardith Keck, your host today. Have you wondered why several streets in Akron are closed? Why are they digging in my neighborhood? There are some big holes around the area. What are they for? And some of these questions can be answered by our two guests who are engineers with the city of Akron. Thanks for coming, Pat Gsellman, who is the program manager for Akron Waterways Renewed, and Michelle Difiore, who is interim environmental division manager for Akron Waterways Renewed. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What is Akron Waterways Renewed?
It's the program for a long time people have been hearing combined sewer overflows, CSO. And we have a consent decree that requires us to do a lot of projects for the combined sewer. As we got into the projects, we realized it was much more than that. It was much bigger and larger. It included not only the combined sewer projects, but a lot of other projects around the city. And we got into doing some more greener projects and really expanding the role. And we really decided we needed a new brand to go with. And out of that, the Akron Waterways Renewed grew because we're dealing now with almost all of our clean water obligations. And we really wanted to broaden the education that it is just more than combined sewer overflows.
So you're both engineers with the city, but you're kind of on loan to Akron Waterways Renewed?
No, we're both in the Akron Engineering Bureau in public service under Service Director John Moore.
It's just a different name.
Yeah, it's the name so people can relate as to what's going on. Obviously, a lot due to the higher sewer bills that they're seeing, to be able to identify specifically what the work is for.
Okay. And why are you working on Akron sewers?
That's part of the role of the Engineering Bureau. So we act as a consultant to the rest of the city departments. So, we might be working on water lines, we might be working on sewer lines, we might be working on roadways. So the environmental division, one of our roles is to work on sewer lines. And so that's why we're tasked with working on improving our sewers.
And our city infrastructure is approaching 100 years old. And obviously when infrastructure becomes that old, you start to get into the repair and the replacement, and things need to be improved and upgraded at this point so they can continue to provide the service to the public.
But doesn't the government have something to say about this? I mean, weren't you required to do this?
It's been going on an ongoing basis. In fact, in the late 1970s, early 1980s, there was a tremendous amount of federal money to assist in doing a lot of this work. And the city of Akron really concentrated on improvements at the water reclamation facility down in the valley to upgrade it, and then also to eliminate what we call separate sanitary sewer overflows in the system. So a lot of that, there was available federal money, and that's where the emphasis was really across the country to do those upgrades. And then when you get towards the end of the 1980s, the federal money disappeared, and now all the money has to be done locally.
So who is paying for it?
Our sewer customers. It's in your sewer bill.
In my sewer bill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How much is it costing for all this?
Well, the original estimates on the combined sewer overflow work is $1.4 billion.
1.4 billion.
Yes.
Okay. It's a lot of money to get from just sewer bills. And you don't get any money from state or national now?
We get our financing, and Michelle can talk about that, from the state, but there's no federal money.
Right. We get some financing from the state, and so just recently we got a 0% interest loan, which means that we won't be paying interest on a particular project. So that's going to save our ratepayers money. It's also low interest financing that we're getting from the state, so we're looking to get the lowest cost possible for our ratepayers.
How long until this is paid for?
Well, some of these loans are currently 30 years. We're looking at refinancing for 40-year, we're looking at future loans to be 40-year terms. We'll be paying for several years.
A long time. Are we alone in this type of project?
We are not alone in this type of project. So Cleveland and the Northeast Regional Sewer District also have combined sewers. Columbus has combined sewers. Lima has combined sewers. Cincinnati has combined sewers. When our combined sewer system was built, I talked to some students and I said, it was state-of-the-art technology. It was what the engineers knew to build. And I asked these students, I said, would you buy a flip phone today? And they started laughing at me. I said, do you even know what it is? And they want their iPhone or they want their Android, because technology has evolved and sewer systems have evolved too, and knowing how to make our environment safer and healthier, we're looking at these projects now.
And these sewers were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So it's been over 100 years.
Right, right. I read that there are 770 cities nationwide that have this same problem. Of course, as you say, it's what they did
It's
at
what
the
they
time
did.
that the cities were created.
Yeah, and it's mostly the East Coast and the Midwest around the Great Lakes, and then out west. But it is concentrated on the larger industrial cities for the most part.
Akron is really fortunate to have a good water supply and plenty of water when others are having to not use water to wash their cars and so forth. We in Akron can do that.
Yeah, we have a fantastic, abundant supply of clean, fresh water. And you're right, as California, Arizona, New Mexico, as they start to see the significant increases in their water costs, we really do anticipate a lot of those people coming back to this area because we do have abundant water that's available for use.
That's an amazing fact or suggestion anyway. Does our water come from the Cuyahoga River?
Our water does come from the Cuyahoga River. So Akron has several water supply reservoirs upstream of Kent, north of Kent, and that's where our water supply division is.
Was the first part of this project the Riverview Road area?
It was one of the earlier projects. Actually, the first project in regards to the combined sewers was the Cuyahoga Street Storage Facility on Cuyahoga Street. And it's a 10 million gallon storage basin where you get these high flows, and instead of that overflow of mostly stormwater and a little bit of sanitary sewer, instead of that overflowing into the river, it flows into this basin. And then once the basin is filling and the rain stops, then that flow that went into the basin then is pumped back into the sewer and sent down to the water reclamation facility for treatment. So that was in 2005 that facility came online. And since then, we've done several basins, sewer separations, and then now getting to your question on the main outfall. That project was one that we actually got modified in the original consent to repair that sewer. And again, it's almost 100 years old. And what we've done is to reinforce that sewer. And a lot of people...
Concrete cap on it?
Yeah, it's got new foundations along the sides and then a concrete cap because it's a brick sewer. It has a brick cap. And most of the brick, as you think all of its strength, the brick arch, is in the downward motion. There was always concern that if you get too much flow in that pipe and you get pressure out, it could push the bricks apart. And what we did was a pilot project to see if there was a way that we could repair it differently. And we came up with this way of building this cap to hopefully get another 100 years out of it.
So Riverview Road was closed at some point.
Right.
And I imagine most people in Akron knew that and wondered why, so that was why.
Right. And that was one of the projects that actually saved $30 million on our plan because the original plan was to build a sewer next to it. And through our pilot testing and through doing inspections of the sewer, we came up with this alternate method to cap it. So not only was the project done significantly shorter time period, but it also saved significant money.
Just so our audience understands the project, it's my understanding, and you can correct me, that there was too much untreated water going into the river. And consequently, they required us to to have basins to store the excess rainwater until the treatment plant could handle it? Am I
Right.
far off there?
The combined sewers are one pipe, so all your flow is in one pipe, and it carries all the normal sanitary flow. When you get a significant rainfall, you exceed the capacity of that one pipe and you have overflows. So it's mostly the stormwater that's overflowing with a little bit of the sanitary sewage. So what we were required to do was to capture that overflow into either a tank or, in the case of the Ohio Canal Tunnel, into a tunnel. You store it and then you release it after the fact to the system. And then we also have separation projects, which is, you had mentioned earlier about the Merriman Road project, where we're actually separating the sewer and building a new storm or a new sanitary and completely eliminating those overflows.
And we did a lot of planning to determine which of those solutions was most cost effective for each of those overflow locations. So in every instance, we look at one overflow location and we said, what would it take to build a basin here? How much would it cost? You know, is there land for it? And how much is a separation project? You know, so we looked at the most cost-effective solution for each one of those projects, which is why we have different solutions to the CSO at each of the different racks.
Okay, so the Merriman project, let's go back to that because I live in that area. The Merriman Road is closed. Any idea when it'll open?
I hear it may be in the next month.
Aha, okay. That would be great. We were looking at Portage Path today and wondering about the fact that Portage Path has gotten all this excess traffic from using Merriman Road. Did you choose certain neighborhoods for certain reasons?
No, when the sewer system was built, these overflows were designed. Again, it was that best available technology at the time. And then each neighborhood across the city, and not every neighborhood, only 25% of Akron contributes to these combined sewer overflows. So each neighborhood that contributes to this combined sewer overflow, we determine which project is the best solution. So it happened to be in Merriman, what was originally scheduled to be a basin. As we evaluated costs, we determined that a sewer separation project would be more beneficial to that community. You know, and again, you get additional benefits beyond a basin. You're rebuilding the sewer system in the neighborhood. We're going to be repaving the streets in the neighborhood.
That was one of my questions.
And then there's also green infrastructure at the end of the stormwater, which is going to provide some water quality benefits.
When did this all start in the neighborhoods?
The project itself, we actually started in the early 1990 when we did the analysis and looked at all the, we actually looked at separating the entire city. And then as Michelle pointed out, we looked at separating, then we looked at doing the, whether it would be a storage basin or whether it could be a tunnel or whether we could separate it and eliminate it by building the new sanitary. The first tank that was, obviously the work at the plant was done in the late 1980s, and then the first storage tank was 2005, and then from 2010 on is when we really started initiating projects, and then the consent decree was actually filed in 2014.
Okay, we're talking about sewers today, and with me, the Akron Sewer project is huge, and with me are two of the engineers from the city of Akron, Pat Gsellman, who is the program manager for Akron Waterways Renewed, and Michelle Difiore, who is interim environmental division manager for Akron Waterways Renewed. And we've established that Akron Waterways Renewed is the title of this whole project, or the name of this whole project. Any idea when the neighborhood project will be finished?
I think Merriman is scheduled to be complete at the end of this year. So I think the contractor is on schedule to do that. The entire Akron Waterways Renewed program is scheduled to be complete in 2027. So, and we're also working with the US EPA through our integrated planning process to extend that, you know, to make it more affordable for our ratepayers.
Have you started on all the neighborhoods that require projects?
The other one, the Merriman project is obviously very visible. The Middlebury neighborhood, which is southeast Akron, if you go out Market, Exchange, that area, Arlington. That one is kind of in a similar situation that Merriman is right now, as far as building new sewers to separate. You go a little further out is Kelly Avenue, and we actually have another separation green project that'll occur out in that neighborhood. And then one of the projects we're looking right now is we're scheduled to do a tunnel towards the end of the program for North Hill, which is kind of the gorge area, north part of Akron along the Cuyahoga River. And right now we're still evaluating right now it's required to be a tunnel, but we're proposing to do sewer separations up in that neighborhood. And right now we're still doing the evaluations of those. But that would be towards the end, the 2025 timeframe that project would start.
So they have to look forward to that.
Yes, looking forward to new streets and new water lines.
Yeah, the new streets will be great. Where does the water go from the new sewers?
So the sanitary sewage goes to the wastewater treatment plant down in the valley. And the stormwater, we're building new stormwater outfalls, or we're converting the combined sewer overflow into that stormwater outfall. For the Merriman neighborhood, it goes right into the Cuyahoga River. For the Middlebury neighborhood, it goes into the Little Cuyahoga River. So it depends where. We have 3 main waterways in Akron. We've got the Ohio and Erie Canal, we have the Little Cuyahoga River, and then we have the Cuyahoga River.
Okay, but in order to not overflow, you're building some basins or creating some basins besides the ones you did in 2005.
Right. What's interesting too, I want to add on those is we also, now that we're creating this new stormwater discharge, and Michelle mentioned we said the green infrastructure, but we're actually creating a green element for that stormwater to be treated, where it'll go into, they call it the bioswale stormwater retention. It's almost a created wetland kind of area. So it'll go into a parcel where the water will flow through grasses and trees and those kind of things. And that actually provides treatment to that stormwater.
There's one of these basins created in the Merriman
Yes.
area. Will there always be water in there, or will it be mostly dry?
It'll be mostly dry.
So you were not going to have to put fish in there
No.
for the mosquitoes or whatever?
No, most of the time it would be dry. And there's a similar one at the Middlebury neighborhood in East Akron. The rest of the basins are under construction, and actually you can take a tour to see a lot of those constructions where we're building the basins.
And the tour is done by a trolley, and how do you sign up for that tour?
Yeah, you can go onto our website and then take a look, akronwaterwaysrenewed.com, and you can sign up for the trolley tours, is what we call them, construction trolley tours. And we actually meet at the Mustel store, which if you haven't been to the Mustel store, it's a great place to visit. It's on North Street. And we gather there, we do a little video that shows the Ohio Canal Tunnel project, shows what the tunnel boring machine would look like. And then the trolley, it's 2 hours, and it actually takes you to several of the construction sites where you can see the tunnel sites, you can see where the shafts are that they're building downtown, and then it takes you out to a couple of the storage basins that we have.
And it's Akron Waterways Renewed is the website they would look for?
Yes.
Okay, now.
And it's .com. I always forget that's not .org, .com.
Okay. And you've got a project, or you've got a program coming up called the Blue Heron Homecoming?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Yes, the Blue Heron Homecoming is coming up on May 6th from 10 to 2. It's a Saturday afternoon. And it also is going to be at the Mustel store. And it started out as an open house at our water reclamation facility in the valley, so people could come down and see what the wastewater plant looks like, how treatment happens. There's so much construction going on right now at the wastewater plant that we've moved it downtown to the Mustel store. And as part of that, we will be giving these construction tours that'll go to several of the construction sites using the trolleys, and those will run all day. We'll have a trolley that'll run down to the blue herons where they're nesting on Bath Road, and we'll have some people down there to give some facts and details about the herons, and they'll probably be full of babies by then, by May. And then also at the Mustel, we'll be set up with, I think we have over 24 booths of our stakeholders, which are people like the National Park, Summit County Metro Parks, Summit Soil and Water, Ohio EPA, and they have educational booths. And there'll be snacks and drinks, some entertainment. It's really a great time. And the best part of it really is we get all the operators and the city people, and they bring their families and their friends. And it's just great to have the opportunity for the people that work at the water reclamation facility and the sewer maintenance to show their family and friends what they do every day.
Cool.
So it's a great opportunity for them too.
So Blue Heron,
Blue Heron Homecoming.
May 6th.
Yes, from 10 to 2 Saturday afternoon.
Let's talk about drilling under the city. That sounds ominous. And I know there are explosions going on or dynamite going on now. Tell me about it.
So you're referring to the Ohio Canal Interceptor Tunnel, which is the program's largest project. It's actually going to be removing 9 of the combined sewer overflows from the downtown area. The tunnel's 27 feet in diameter, and it's 6,200 feet long. It starts just north of the Mustel store, and then it extends all the way to Exchange Street underneath downtown Akron. So tunneling downtown, you know, it sounds a little scary, but it's not. Tunneling has been done all over the world for hundreds of years.
Okay. Yeah, to build subway systems.
To
I'm
build
sure.
subway systems, correct? Or tunnels through mountains in Europe. So, and as far as the blasting goes, there actually hasn't been that much blasting to date. So the rock is softer than the contractor anticipated. So he's actually able to use just regular excavation methods to remove it. But what we've done is set the stage to educate the public on how that drilling is going to happen. And so if the rock becomes harder and we can't just drill it, you know, the public is educated on what that is going to be like. And then we can remove it through drilling.
Will the
blasting.
city feel it?
There are limits on what the contractor is required to do and how much you can feel it. And it's actually supposed to be like maybe fireworks, and the blasting occurs, it's a very short time frame. And, the public really shouldn't be able to feel it, but it would be a very short time frame, feel something like fireworks or a truck rolling by the building. It'd probably be like after it happened, you'd maybe go, what was that?
Yeah, it was a pure coincidence, but our trolley tour last Friday, we were actually stopped because they do momentarily stop the traffic that's immediately adjacent to where they're doing the blasting. And we were with the first vehicle there, and they stopped the traffic, and you hear the horn, and it sounds like, remember the Fred Flintstone horn, the loud shift horn to let people know. And then it feels like a big truck went by. And then you hear the second horn, the all-clear horn. But it does feel exactly like a big truck is just going down the road because you feel a little bit of a vibration.
Fascinating. Any idea when the towpath trail will be restored?
The towpath trail won't be restored. Well, it is still open. It is open on Hickory Street.
Yes, it's difficult.
It is a difficult route, but it is open. It was very important to work with the partners and make sure that a route remained open. It will be restored at the completion of the project, which is anticipated to be in 2019. So
we have to gear up for that hill.
That's right. That's right.
And it is the alternate route on Hickory Street, it's a great neighborhood. It is a nice walk. There is the one pretty steep hill.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fascinating because when you get to the very bottom, there's the nursing home at Memorial Parkway. And I've yet to walk by there with the dog and not had somebody come out on the walk back because people are on the porches and they just want to come out and say hello and greet the people. So it is a very friendly neighborhood. It is a nice walk. It's a nice walk.
It is. It's just that one hill.
Right.
And I walked up it the last time I was on my bike. When this project is over, is that it in 2027, did you say?
The consent, all the projects need to be completed by 2027. Then there's a year of testing and monitoring 2028. Okay. What you're always concerned about is what's the next thing down the road. And we're always trying to get flexibility built into the consent so that we can do adaptive management throughout, so that we do make sure we catch the highest priority project. And we're evaluating the whole consent now to always make sure we're always doing the most cost-effective and the most water quality beneficial project. Because things change, obviously. There's always something different, so you always have to reevaluate to make sure you're doing the most cost-effective, the most beneficial project.
It's a fascinating project. I thank you, Pat and Michelle, for coming today. And when the project's completed, the river should be absolutely wonderful for recreation, and that always pleases everybody. Thank you for watching and listening to us today. I'm Ardith Keck for Forum 360.
Forum 360 is brought to you with support from Electric Impulse Communications, Kim and Harvey Nelson, Rubber City Radio Group, Akronist.com, Hudson Cable, Medical Mutual of Ohio, Forum 360 supporters, and the Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron.